How did the fitness industry begin for you, Mr. Archer?
Oh, good question. Back in 1945, when I was a teenager. No, I'm kidding.
My day.
I'm not that old. I'm 24, literally exactly 7 days from this recording. I'm a young buck. So I started training around about, I think, 15, 16. And it was funnily enough, it was through school. I was always a nerdy kid. My background initially was computer science. So I'm definitely qualified to be an online coach. Don't worry, we'll get to it. And I was in school, and they offered this thing, and they're like, "Hey, you can do sports in the school, or you can go to the gym." And I wasn't that sporty. I was not sporty at all, and so I was like, "Yeah, I'll go to the gym." Basically planning to go home and play. God, what was I playing at the time? Probably like CS:GO or something. Who knows?
You're one of those.
Me, I was. Yeah, fully was. I've not got my PC in Manchester, but it's back home with all my like CS:GO peripherals and.
You little nerd,
mate.
I was a Rainbow Six Siege boy.
Oh, I never got into Rainbow Six. I played it a little bit. I didn't play it enough to remember who I played. I think it was the guy that used to make reinforced walls everywhere, if that's correct.
Everyone made reinforced.
There you go.
Just a little shout. Anyone who plays Rainbow Six Siege will absolutely cringe at that right there. So we'll go back to fitness. Let's go back to fitness. Carry on
the
with
guy
that.
who had the gun that used to shoot people. That's my character.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah. No, it was it Sledge? The guy with the sledgehammer?
Sledge. Oh yeah, the one with the hammer. Yeah, Sledge is fine. The one who breaks through walls. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Close. I was close. But yeah, so the plan was like to bin it off, but then they actually started checking who was going to the gym, and I was a good boy. I made it all the way through secondary school and primary without getting in any detentions. So I wasn't going to start there. So I started going to the gym, and I had a group of mates who kind of vaguely went to the gym at that age, and I started training. And I went once, and then I started going twice, and then 3 times. And then I remember watching a lot of Jeff Nippard, weirdly, at the time, and Omar Isuf and Juji Mufu, all the old heads. John Meadows as well. And then I kind of just caught the bug and was like, this feels great. It made sense because both my parents were into the gym. My mum is an absolute gym fiend. My dad was a rock climber, used to go to the gym a bit. And so, yeah, it started from there. And then I got into bodybuilding I was working in a butcher's at the time. And there was this one kid in my year called Dan. And I'm mates with Dan, and I did coach him for a bit. I won't say his full name, but I think you might know him. He trained out of Norton, or he trains out of Norton at the minute. And he was like,
I haven't been to Norton yet.
Oh, fair. It's good. I'm on a podcast. It's all right. Political. Yeah, so he was like the big guy, and he walked past the butcher shop that I was working at, and I sort of fired him a DM. I think I can't remember why. I think at the time I was trying to get in with like the cool kid, like the big strong guy. And I was like, oh, like we should train together sometime, like, and he's like, yeah, fuck it. So we trained together, and then he introduced me to Rich Piana and Dallas McCarver, and getting into bodybuilding. And at the time I was like, oh, I'm not that into that, but I want to get more muscle, so let's take some ideas from that. And then I fell down the rabbit hole.
And now we're here, and it's just a constant evolving of hating the way you look and trying to improve it and just pulling any string that you can possibly find.
Mate, I'm dieting at the minute, and probably 4 weeks ago I was saying to people around me, oh yeah, I'm quite happy with my physique, and now I look at it and I'm like, no. As soon as I start dieting, I want to be instantly peeled.
Now I'm flat. Now I'm in that. I've kind of just come out of that period where I'm lean enough and full enough that I look really good, and I almost look the biggest I've been. Yeah. But you're probably in that flat stage where you're not quite lean yet, but you're not full yet either.
Mm.
Yeah.
my anterior is coming quite well, but my
Nice.
posterior not there yet. And it goes from I want the ab definition back and the ab veins back, and then you get them, and then you're like, yeah, I want
I want
erectors in.
glutes. I
Yeah, I
want
want
peeled
glutes.
glutes. Love peeled glutes. It's fucking
Yeah, man.
great.
Yeah,
It's
they look
fucking
clean.
great. So obviously deep in the rabbit hole of bodybuilding, but within that you started coaching, and the Archery Academy is constantly expanding with some really, really good coaches in there. Obviously you got Camille with doing all of your rehab work, and Matty with your posing stuff. So kind of talk to me about how that started, because obviously that started as a one-man band and now it's progressed. So how did that begin?
Yeah, so I I fell down the rabbit hole even more in bodybuilding in lockdown. Spent all my
Mm-hmm.
money on getting kit. And I was like, I'm going to really pursue bodybuilding. But I was still doing comp sci at the time. You can tell I did it because I abbreviated it. And I was started off going to uni for that. And then I started to put more time into learning myself and like what I was doing and trying to develop that. Because I had one of my oldest mates at the time, Liam. You know Liam. Liam was coaching
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
I binned him off for uni. Um,
As you do.
and and then spent a bunch of money like buying courses and trying to learn. And he called me out for it, and I was like, "Yeah, fair enough. I did have the money." Uh, and then I realized I was spending more time self-teaching than I was following my course. So I changed course and I did sports fitness and coaching. Um, I didn't want to do sports science, and I didn't want to do sports science because I'd heard not great things. I'd heard mixed things. I knew friends who went down the sports science route, and my course was the modules were split in half. One half was sports science, and the other half, and the reason it's called sports fitness and coaching, the other half was the theory of coaching. And so, like, my first year would be like biomechanics and anatomy and physiology is one half, and then the other half was sports psychology, the idea of motivation, what makes athletes successful. And that appealed
Sounds
to me.
perfect.
Mate, it was brilliant. The whole idea was you had theory module and you had applicatory module where you apply that theory and
Mm-hmm.
kind of talk about, okay, well, you know the levers that humans tend to have and where their
Mm-hmm.
joints are and how to stress them and how not to stress them. But how do you get someone who doesn't want to do that to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And so like one would be like nutrition, and one would be surrounding like food psychology and body image and like ethics within nutrition and stuff like that. It was really cool. And then I, off the back of that, started coaching. And I started off, I had 2 clients. I charged £15 a month. Don't get excited, guys listening. I charge a lot more than that now. Sorry. I remember.
That's how much he charges now for a consult call.
I mean, if I was charging for consult calls, God, I'd be in a Lamborghini. I'd be loving it. But I remember being like, right, that's 30 quid a month. That's like a tub of protein a month sorted.
Sound.
And I started working at a gym, and the aim was to PT, but the gym owner, and I won't say what gym it is, the gym owner was horrific, to the point where all of the PTs left, and basically the gym is now closed because
Sound.
it ran awfully. And he basically brought me on being like, yeah, you can PT people. And the idea was I was going to PT people and do a bit of like online as well.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, he said like, oh, actually, you know, we just kind of need a receptionist and a floor cleaner. That's what I was. I was a receptionist and a floor cleaner.
I love how you didn't turn it down.
I needed the money at the time.
That's fair.
And the idea was like, I was like, well, I could go up to PT. And also, to be honest, it was a quiet gym because it was already a failing business. So I used to just coach and like do check-ins and stuff from behind the desk. So it was like getting double paid.
Mm-hmm.
The only issue is it was an hour walk, and it was an hour walk, or it was a taxi, and the taxi would cost 1 hour wages.
Mm-hmm.
And the gym would open at 5 and I'd have to be there at 5, and the gym would shut at 10 and I'd have to be there at 10. And I would have to be there the entire shift with my meals, and I couldn't train while on shift. So I would have to train after. And if I had a shift the next day, I would be on genuinely 3 hours of sleep because I would have to.
You couldn't train during your shift?
No. So I'd have to train at
Jeez.
10, get wrapped up for 11, walk back for midnight, prep my meals until 1, and then get up just before 4. So that was if it was back to back. It wasn't back to back all the time.
Talk about hard days.
It was horrible. It was horrible. I did it for a year straight, and I did it while dieting. And then basically after that, I just kind of built up coaching more and more and more over time, to the point where two things happened. One, I ran out of spaces a couple of times. I think it happened 3 times before I
Sick.
brought anyone else. And then it got
What
to
was
the
your cap?
60. So I
Fair.
didn't want to have more than 60 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I I don't like. I'm probably a little bit different. Oh God, I'm so different and quirky. I'm a little bit different to what a lot of coaches represent and do, in that I don't want to coach everyone,
Mm-hmm.
because I can't. I
Yeah.
can't coach 300 people. I could maybe coach more than 60, but
You'd
if
start
some,
to see your service drop.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And I've said this from the start. I would always rather, like, yes, bringing on more people means I make less money, but it means the business can have more people,
Mm-hmm.
and it means that I get a better reputation. And so when someone's on a consult call with me, if they need me, if they need weekly calls, if they need a daily messaging, I can do that, and other coaches can't. And it
Mm-hmm.
means I can still take Sundays off. And it means I can have business hours. And I can say, hey, look, if you need me, text me or call me. And I know I can pick up. And I'd always rathered that. But I filled up 3 times. And it got to the point where my price was getting so extraordinarily high, that, like, for the average person outside of bodybuilding, that I was like, okay, I kind of, like, I can't justify charging less, but I feel bad for, like, these people who,
Mm.
hey, I just want to get in shape. And I'm like, yeah, that would be like a lot of money, please. Um,
Yeah.
so I'd already had the education running alongside. Um, and I basically just took the people who were top of the class in my education and was like, hey, do you want a job? And that's how I got Camille on board, and then later Matty. And now we all have different price points. And it means that if I'm going through a period where work is really stressful, like when I was moving up to Manchester, I couldn't really take on board any other clients. So if
Mm-hmm.
people would inquire, I'd be like, hey, go check out these two. They're phenomenal. If there's someone who has a specific need that they can attend to better than I can, and then there's capacity there. And yeah, that's how the team came about. Just more of like a need to do things, because, like, I could theoretically handle way more people, but to the detriment of my own mental health and the service,
Yeah.
and that's not what I want.
No. And that's not how it should be either. Your service should always be the top priority.
Yep.
And if that means you cap out, then that means you cap out. And there's actually nothing wrong with capping out, because from a client standpoint, if your coach has been like, cool, I'm not taking any more clients because I don't want to detriment the service that I'm giving you. That's
Mhm.
empowering, if anything, because it means that they understand how much they mean to you. And it's not just like, oh yeah, I'm getting an extra 40 clients, so your check-ins are going to be like 2 days late, but
Yep.
it's fine because I'm getting 20 grand more per month. It's like,
Yep.
it's not worth it. I think it's rare that you find people that do that and they over book themselves. But I think anyone who would do that would quickly find that they'd end up losing more clients than they're gaining. And
Mhm.
then all of a sudden they're like, okay, maybe I do need a cap. But yeah, it's an interesting thing.
I think I'd always rather work with less people and have a very tight knit relationship with them, and have a waiting list and have
Mm-hmm.
more. Also, I think probably something not a lot of coaches want to talk about, but I think there is a lot of greed in the industry. And
Mm.
if you, like you said there, like, if you're charging, say 200 a month, and you have, say, 50 clients, that's £10,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
With all due respect, why do people need more?
Mm,
Like, to do what? Like, it's such a diminishing return. Like, are you really getting that much more out of life being stressed, making 15 grand a month rather than being more
mm,
relaxed and making 10? And I know that like there's always a bit of creep because like as much as I'm basically at capacity, which is now increased because I'm better at managing things. If I were at capacity and someone really talented came along, obviously I'm going to be like, yeah, of course. Like if someone's like, I want to be prepped by you,
mm-hmm.
it's only one, it's fine. So I know it does creep up over time, but I think that I think there is just a certain like a bit of greed to it, and when I can just bring on board other coaches and they, are wanted, like being when I was doing education for people and I'm like, I'm surrounded by these brilliant, talented coaches and they're clamoring for clients and I'm at capacity. It's like, well, why don't we just say, you come and work for me? Tell me what you're doing with these people so I can make sure that they're getting what they need. You're going
Mm-hmm.
to love having this many people on board. And then I'll just take a small cut in order for you to have access to my brand. And I
Mm-hmm.
can still scale. But again, it gets to a point where it's like you're making more money, but for what purpose? And I've been coached by many different coaches, and you can tell the ones who are reluctant to do their job or sick of their job because it's
Mm-hmm.
constant. And I don't want my clients to ever
Feel
have
that
that
way.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know my capacity will change over time. Particularly if I were to ever retire from bodybuilding, it would hugely go up. But it's nice to have. It's nice to be able to wake up in the morning and go, oh, I missed this last night. Like
Mm.
being clock off a bit and be like, I can't wait for tomorrow. I take Sundays
Mm.
off and I kind of struggle with Sundays because I'll be looking forward to Monday, and that's nice. And I want to keep that.
Yeah. And that's the balance of loving your job, but making sure that you're still enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that is the benefit of. I think the benefit of having a cap is once you get to that point, then you can be like, you're great, but I don't really think you're going to be a good fit. And you might
Mm-hmm.
even recommend some other coaches that you know that even if it, like, say, for example, you're a solo coach and you don't have other coaches within your brand, you might be like, I know this person, he's great. Maybe go chat to him, whatever. But then you might get that odd prodigy where it's like, I want to step on stage now. I want to step on stage this year. I look
Yep.
like this. And you're like, wow, okay, this is good for the brand.
Yeah.
This is good for me. This is good for you. Let's work. And like
Yeah.
you said, yeah, obviously your cap will slowly increase.
Yeah.
But how often do you see a prodigy? Not often. Like you
Yeah.
obviously got those brands where they have loads and loads of prodigies, and then it makes it look like prodigies are everywhere. They're not. They're very, very scarce. They're very, very scarce. But that doesn't take away from those who put in sheer amounts of effort. Like Nat put in ridiculous amount of effort into his prep, and he looked insane. He looks really good.
Yeah.
We've had a few chats since, and yeah, Nat looked crazy. But most importantly, he loved it,
Yeah.
and that's only bloomed his love for bodybuilding even more. And that's the thing. It's like just because you're not a prodigy doesn't mean you can't do bodybuilding, because you might love bodybuilding, and as a result, like Nat started coaching. Like you might want to go into that industry. That's what I did. I competed. I knew that I'd love bodybuilding, kind of. Well, not kind of. I knew I'd love bodybuilding, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking shit. No, but I knew I'd love. I knew I'd love it. And the thing that changed for me is I loved the relationship between coach and athlete, especially when you were backstage, especially when you were in the pump up room, just looking around and seeing all the athletes and the coaches and the bonds and relationships they have, knowing that they both worked ridiculously hard to get to that condition. I just
Yeah.
love that. And that's what I wanted. I wanted that for myself. And I wanted to be able to train with my clients and them love the sessions, them come away and be like, that was sick. Like, you changed my intensity. You made me feel it better. Like, you made me understand it better.
Mhm.
I love that. I love that. It's great.
Yeah, coaching really is such a beautiful and a personal process,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, yeah, I have a few. The older I get, the more of an unk I become. The, the more gripes I have.
Premium unk.
Yeah, the more gripes I have with the industry. I think the biggest one, maybe it's becoming a bit of a theme of our conversation. I think the biggest one is the pressure on coaches to work with so many people that they burn themselves out
Mm-hmm.
until, like, there's so much pressure on how many people are you working with,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, well, who actually cares? Like, if we look at, say, like Cal Raystrick, he has less clients than a lot of the amateur coaches, and he's working with Olympians, and you have to ask why. And it's like, well, Cal could easily work with people who are not Olympians. They'd love to work with him, but he knows that his job means giving more time and attention to people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's so much pressure and toxicity out there to be like, oh, I'm so tired from coaching. I've done 20 hours today, and it's like,
And no one's
there's
forcing you to do it. No one's forcing you
yeah,
to do it. It's
there,
you chose to do it.
there's not a single job that I can think of where I want the person I'm paying to do something to be knackered from it.
Yeah.
Like, there is nothing. I wouldn't want my doctor to be tired and overworked. I wouldn't want my Uber driver to be tired and overworked. I wouldn't want the chef in a restaurant making me food to be tired and overworked. I don't want anyone who does anything to be tired and overworked. So
Mm-hmm.
I try and, like, like you said there, that passion and that joy of really helping people and being a part of someone's process. I can't fathom having that for people. Like with Nat, it's like I went to all his shows. We stayed in the same Airbnb. I brought Camille and Matty along. Matty helped him pose. Camille rehabbed him, made sure that his joints could move correctly when he was on stage. Like, getting his lats out was a big
You're
one
the
for him.
videographer as well.
Yeah. We had Finn. Shout out Finn. Finn
Yeah, it was
Films.
sick. I watched them. I was featured in it. So if you watch the UK DFDA one, you'll see me walk from the backstage to the toilet. Featured.
Oh,
Yeah, I
exciting!
know.
But yeah, it's like that level of process is a beautiful thing, and I think that's, what I want to keep on doing, and I think that is coaching in essence for me. And also, like, there's so many good coaches out there. It's like, if
Yeah.
someone inquires and they want to work with me and they don't want to work with anyone else, that you'll find someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a list of 20 names I can give you where I'd be like, they're around a similar price point, or slightly less or slightly more, and they're fantastic and they will do a good job for you.
Yeah. And like, the thing that I love so much is getting someone else to feel the same love and passion for the sport that I love. And I think
Yeah.
that's something beautiful, because I know how much I love bodybuilding. I know how much I love training and how I want it to be everything. Like, I want to bodybuild pro. I want to be a coach full time. Like, I want to help as many people get to a similar position that I'm in. I look at other coaches like yourself and other people, and I just love I love I love being in that position and having something to strive towards and something to improve. But most importantly, seeing the relationships and the relationships that bloom from just our coaching and our experience, and more importantly, someone else putting trust in you,
Yeah.
like someone else putting trust in the fact that you know what you're doing, and they come to you and they're like, I'd love to be coached by you. Like, I've got a
Yeah.
new client that messaged me, and I was like, I'd love to help you out. And he was like, oh, I'm struggling a little bit financially. I'm like, cool, that doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not here for the money. I'm here to change your life. I'm here to help you. So as long as you're giving me all of your effort, I'll give you the world. And
Yeah.
he's like, I'd love to be coached by you. And I'm like, that just brings so much joy to me. And it makes me want to do this more. And the more clients you have like that, next thing you know, you're loving every single day, because you know every single one on your list, on your client list, wants to be with you and wants to work with you and make you proud, most importantly.
Yeah, mate, that's so honestly beautiful and refreshing to hear. Like, I I think one topic I often talk about, especially with Camille and Matt, is like how businessy does coaching get? Like,
Mhm.
how much do you run it like a business? Do you act like you're, corporate overlords and you're trying to get like the greatest value that you can and constantly progress, or do you act like James from the gym and you're just some guy and you're just kind of doing it for a laugh? And like, I think the the industry is so muddled. I'm trying not to repeat myself as best as possible.
It doesn't matter. Just repeat.
It's like I hear top level coaches all the time. A lot of coaches I have a lot of respect for, and I'm not really cool. I'm not saying this directed at any coach. It's just a
Mhm.
sentiment that I hear repeated. So if any coach listening to this is like, "Oh, that sounds like me," first of all, if the shoe fits. Second of all, just like take the personal criticism out of it and just maybe think about what I'm saying.
Mhm.
There's so much pushback on like you shouldn't run coaching like a business, but equally by the same token, you should have 400 clients and you should give your life to coaching. And
Mhm.
it's like, I have conversations with coaches where they'll be like, why do you have hoodies with the name of your brand on? I'll be like, well, because if people see Nat wearing that, they see me, Camille, and Matt wearing that, they see my videographer wearing that, they'll be like, oh, there's a little coaching team. That's cool. They do stuff, they do cool stuff, right? It's for business. If I'm traveling around to go and see people, that's also business. If I'm trying to like put out like my podcast, for example, we try and answer questions from people. And then we follow up with those people and say, hey, you asked this question about this. How are things going? Are you interested in anything we offer? And I think there's a lot of, or like I'll offer, free resources and ebooks and stuff. And the idea obviously is to get people to be like, hey, maybe I could do with some help.
Mhm.
And I think there's a lot of pushback on that in the industry. And there's a lot of pushback on the idea of running coaching like a business. But then by the same token, those same coaches will then be like, yeah, I want to bring on 50 people and I'll say yes to all 50. It's like
Mhm.
there's a really weird element of it. And I think coaching is something that at its heart is a business. So you have to do enough to keep it going, because if we can't stay full time, we can't coach, and that's bad.
Mhm.
So there's
Mhm.
going to be some element of, hey, you liked my post about dieting. How's your diet going? Oh, you
Mhm.
need some help? Why don't we come on a call? But there's also going to be, in my opinion, and like you said that there has to be an upper limit of like, okay, well, I can't work with anyone else, because like if I want to work with more people, that means I can't go to your show on that day. That means
Mhm.
that I can't give that in-person check-in. That means I have to shorten down your check-in. That means I don't have time to train or eat, and those are all things that when you go into coaching, that's the purpose. Like, I think every coach should strive to get themselves to a point where they have a good lifestyle or an above average lifestyle. And then it's like, make sure that that passion for coaching and that love for it continues.
Continues.
Because if you just view it as a numbers game, like, I think
It's
that's,
not going to be long term. It'll be short term.
yeah,
You,
it's like,
you you have to be money focused to a degree, like you said, so that we can be full time, so we can give you this. Because I work a full time job, so like for me, it's very difficult
mm,
for time wise. But
yeah,
like when you're full time online, you can give them your all. You can give them your everything,
mhm,
and you obviously need numbers to a point that you can do that. But once you get to that point, then it's kind of like, right. And like you said about being at capacity, you can fine tune, and next thing you know, your coaching brands and the clients that you have are exactly what you want,
yeah,
because you had to be fine tuned. And it was kind of like, okay, let's have a little look at clients. This person isn't really giving their all, and they don't really seem like they're pushing themselves enough, and they're being charged quite a lot. So maybe let's have a little conversation with them and be like, here's potentially a coach that charges less but
yeah.
would give you the same service or a similar service to what you want, um, and then that allows you to bring on someone who is more fine-tuned to what you desire and what you progress. Yeah.
I've had conversations the past week, especially on TikTok. There's like roughly, I think it might be just under five, we'll say five for the sake of it, like, because it's a nice roundish number of like young lads who just asking questions where it's like, okay, well, they're stating interest in coaching, but a lot of their questions tend to boil down to like struggling to gain weight. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
just be like, well, do you track your calories? Do you track your scale weight? No, I don't do that. Okay, well, do that and then get back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's not tons like I'm going to like charge someone like that like 200 quid a month to basically give them that same information.
To baby them.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like you are doing like clearly you're doing something that is working. You're very new. You don't need to be spending that much money. If you're
Mm-hmm.
in like your late teens, early 20s, that might be tons of money to you, which is absolutely fine. And it's like, I'm going to fix your plateau by just looking at numbers, and I can give you that information in 3 minutes. So it's like those 5 people I could have brought on, I could have an extra 1,000 a month. Yeah. But by the same token, it's like those are 5 spaces that could be given to other people who are like, hey, I've been bulking for a few years, or I've been trying to push up body weight for a few years, and I just can't do it. My
Mm-hmm.
appetite's fucked. I've got GI distress. Maybe I'm type 1 diabetic, or I've got IBD or whatever. And it's like, okay, you need specialist advice. Let's go through this. Or they're like, I want to be competitive and I'm struggling my off season. Fantastic, brilliant. Let's help you. Like that's something where I can genuinely sit down on a call and say, hey, yeah, look, you need to spend this money. If you spend
Mm-hmm.
less than this money, you're not going to get where you want to be. And so
Yep.
you need to do this. You don't need to do this forever, but you need to do this until we figure out what's going on, come up with strategies. And then if you want to part ways, that's absolutely fine.
Mm-hmm.
But, sometimes it is like, my biceps aren't growing. Do you track your bicep numbers? No. Okay, well, why don't we just start there? Come back to me in 4 weeks. 4 weeks' time, they're starting to grow. Okay, mate, thanks, bye.
Yeah.
I think, like you said there, just the like, I'm unfortunately at a point where when I sit down and I talk with someone, I know that I'm needed. I know that we've got like a long-term strategy and goal. And I know as well that like I'm going to be fully there for what they want me to be.
Mm.
I'm not going to be like, hey, yeah, you can book in like all my clients. They can book in a phone call with me anytime they want. I've got a Calendly. It rings all the time. And if you want to book in a call, you can. You get unlimited calls with me.
That's
And
sick.
if I
I
ever
like
have
that.
to,
That's really
yeah,
cool.
mate, it's great. It's fantastic for like coach client relationships. It's fantastic
Mm.
because most, just as a small tangent, if something's wrong, they'll book in a call. If it doesn't, like if someone books in a call with me, I'll be like, okay, there's some like you need this. There's something going on, right? Whereas if it's like if someone presents like a catastrophic issue in their check-in, okay, well you didn't book in a call, so you feel fairly comfortable with me giving this by Loom feedback.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're requesting a call, you really want to go through this, and it kind of lets the client pick like how hands-on do they need me to be in that scenario. But if it gets to the point where like I can't offer that, someone's like, hey Jack, like I'm like Nat at the minute, he's going traveling, multiple different countries for months on end. And if it's like, oh my God, man, I'm so stressed. Like, how am I going to bodybuild? How am I going to do this? Are you
Just
free for a
take a
call?
break.
And I'm like, nah, then that's a
Yeah.
bit shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Nat's case,
Yeah.
it is. He wants to keep on tracking macros, and I was like, man, just chill. Like, but the point is more if someone's really in distress and needs my help, particularly in prep, and I go, no, sorry, I haven't got the time to
Yeah.
help you. It's like that's immediately a failure. And also, then it's like, what is the point of paying that money? Because
Mm.
with the higher and higher level coaches, you're paying more and more for less and less time. And I know that you're paying for expertise, but expertise is only as good as the way it's applied. And if you're applying expertise in 2 minute bursts every couple of weeks, it's not great. There's only so much help that you can really give to someone. And people seek coaches because they need that help.
Yeah, it's the coaching is mainly a mental game, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Like once you get to the higher levels, obviously 9 times out of 10, if you've already competed once or you're planning on competing, you already know how to train.
Yeah.
You might need tweaks of intensity, but in terms of everything, you know how to train. It's just fine tuning. You probably know how to eat, and you might need some guidance with it. Maybe you're having foods that don't fit your macros, or maybe you're still eating foods that don't sit well with you, and that's okay because That might be like, oh, you don't suit potato, like potato doesn't work with you. Cool, fine. Let's find something different. Or you don't like rice. Okay, weird. You're strange, but we can
Yeah.
find something different.
Get off the team.
Um, yeah, goodbye. I'm going to give you 600 grams of white potato. God, that's horrible.
Yeah, that is wow.
That's wild. That's like a whole bowl of mashed potato.
That would do me in. No matter, even in like a deep diet, that would do me in. 600 grams of potato.
That's gross. But the thing is, like, the reason why people want us is it's the second set of eyes, but also it's someone to keep you accountable, it's someone to keep you on top of your mental space. Like, I've had a few conversations with my clients, and they're like, "Oh, I don't think I've had, I don't think I've made, I'm seeing changes, but I don't think I've made the progress that I hoped I'd make." And I went, "Okay, so you're seeing changes, cool. We're seeing changes in scale weight, but also you've got to realize that we've only been working with each other for X amount of time. This whole start period is me getting used to your body, understanding what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Oh, cool, you're better with 4 meals instead of 5. So it's kind of just fine tuning everything. And I'm like, now we're at a point where we can start to really ramp little fine tunings, but specific to you. And all of a sudden we're seeing progress. Like, we were sitting, fluctuating at weight higher than what we are now. We're now lower and we look better. We feel better. And I said to him, as much as everyone thinks it's a food game and a weight game and like a look game, it's not. You've got to remember that a lot of bodybuilding is about feeling, how you feel. Are you energized? Are you sleeping well? Are you having crashes midday? Are you struggling to wake up or struggling to fall asleep? Or you feel sluggish, or your training just isn't there. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't. And when I asked him, like, how do you feel, like actually feel energy wise and stuff like that, he said, I feel the best I've felt. Like, training's great. I'm not coming home from work and having naps. I'm still energized. And I'm like, cool. Well, there we go. Like, physique changes a long-term game. One thing that I would preach into so many people starting out with coaching is you might not make changes straight away, and that's okay, because some people will change like that, and a lot of the time they're just genetic freaks, or they just have a knack for losing weight really quickly or gaining weight really quickly and staying in a lean condition. But not everyone is like that, so you can't compare yourself to those people. For the most part, for the 90% of people, it's, I'm feeling shit. I want to feel good. Let's make you feel good first, and then your physique will come as a result.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, bodybuilding really is, if you want to get a little bit nerdy about it,
Let's do it.
A lot of the stuff that kind of hinders physique development, whether that be excessive fatigue, GI upset, I'm going to use the phrase like non-optimized training, because I refuse to use the word optimal. I hate it. Or let's say non-ideal.
You're not doing Keenan flaps?
Oh, I'm doing them now.
I'm doing my roller splinted Keenan flaps.
Yeah, what you can't see is I'm doing tib raises underneath this camera. I don't know for tib raises. But, you know, all of the things that like we aim to improve do come down to, like, if you want to get really like kind of basic about coaching, it's like we put all these fancy words like, oh yeah, you've got GI distress, you know, your digestive system is clearly overloaded. It just comes back down to like, if you eat, you feel all right. If you feel all right when you eat, if you feel not sluggish, then probably GI health is in a pretty good spot. Probably like your microbiome is doing okay. Is your mood all right? Is your sleep okay? How does training feel? Training feels good. Is it progressing okay? Yeah. Do you feel all right? Good. And it's probably is like within that scale of ideal, it's probably in there or very close. And like bodybuilding really is just the better that you feel, the more you're going to grow. Like there's a Jamie Johal quote that I use, particularly of PED users, because they're the worst for it. Is a healthy body is a happy body. Nah, not Camille. It's usually
I'm
it's
joking.
younger
Don't cover
people.
for me, please.
Camille, when Camille was first working with me, and we first went assisted, there was a oh, I respond to this pretty good. Maybe let's do more. And I had to be like, let's go through the theory of androgen receptors again, Camille, because no, um, but
Fuck it, let's do a gram.
Camille on a gram would go pro. Fucking scary, man. Um,
He's a ridiculous monster.
yeah, yeah. We did a podcast. Oh fuck, what did he say? Um, oh yeah, it was like, he was basically saying when you first get into the gym, just like keep things basic. If you find the current realm of ideas and physique development really scary, don't worry about them. Just start training. And he was like, oh, when you're younger, if you look at a dumbbell, you're going to grow. And I said, Camille, maybe you will. uh, but anyway,
Sniffs the gym.
yeah, literally
Gross.
walks in, 5 kilos lean tissue acquired, walks out. Just kidding. Camille does work very hard, but also he's a genetic freak. He's going to be, I feel like he's going to be the next Jiggles. I'm going to put that out there. But anyway, regardless, although he is technically the same age as Jiggles, so he'll be an older Jiggles. Anyway,
We love
Jamie
Jiggles.
Johal quote, mate, I love him. He's great. The Jamie Johal quote that I use is, a healthy body is a happy body, and a happy body grows. It really is that simple. Like, if you're feeling all green lights, then you're pretty set. If you look at sleep metrics and sleep measurements, and you look at studies and data on it, and you look at, okay, how accurate is subjective feeling of sleep compared to objective, and typically you tend to notice that if you were to do a sleep study on someone and improve their sleep, it pretty linearly matches up with, hey, how does your sleep feel on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being good? Typically, things like your timing of sleep cycles, your time spent in REM and deep sleep has improved, your disruptions in the night has decreased. Fantastic, that's great. But at the same time, their subjective feedback is, I feel better. And it's the same for, recovery, that's it. If you look at a lot of research on recovery, I wrote a paper on this in uni. Jeez. Where if you look at like what causes the best recovery feedback, is it saunas? Is it cold plunges? Is it manual therapy? There was big research on cuddling with your partner, which one's the best? And if you look at really big cross sections of data, it's really muddled. It's like, oh, saunas seem fantastic for like one group of people, like hyper responded to saunas, and other people like super didn't. And it's like, what biological process is that? And funnily enough, if you ask, do you like saunas? The people who say no don't get as recovered from it as the people who say yes. And so realistically, if you want to know what recovers you best, do what you find most relaxing. Do you find that lying down on the sofa and watching Family Guy is really relaxing? Go do that. If you find that's more relaxing than going to a sauna, you're going to recover better. So again, it comes back to that subjective feedback is genuinely one of the most useful tools. And like you said, if you can get a client being like, I feel better, everything feels better, everything feels great, 99.9% chance that everything is, and it's improved.
Yeah. It's like any client that I start out with, it's like, cool. So I'm not going to overload you with nutrition because that shouldn't be our first focus. First focus is always training, intensity, form, over that. Make sure your training is good. Make sure you're enjoying training, most importantly.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I put this on my story, is everyone thinks that bulking is all about food. It's a tool, sure. Like, you're not going to grow without food, okay. But an off season, a grow season is all about training, about numbers, intensity, form, accuracy, all of them. That is what's going to cause you to grow. If you don't have that and you're just eating, you're going to be fat.
Yeah, that's how obese people get to where they are. Just progressive eating with no training. They're not secretly wham underneath.
Do you want to know something interesting about saunas? So I listen to the Modern Wisdom podcast all the time. It's just always playing in my car with Chris Williams, and I fucking love him. He's so good. Yeah. He did a interview with Brian Johnson, and they were talking about the immortality protocol. And I watched through it, and one thing that stuck in my mind, the only reason it stuck in my mind, it will stick with you as soon as I say it. So,
Mm.
an interesting thing about the sauna is the sauna actually fries um, your fertility rate. So,
Mm-hmm.
the kind of amount of sperm cells you create and all of your fertility rate massively decreases when you use a sauna.
Makes sense.
Um, so what he did was he spent 2 weeks or something um, doing a sauna on its own. His fertility rate plummeted. And
Mm.
then they did something where he then went in the sauna, but he put ice cubes on his testicles. So he laid his balls on a thing of ice cubes, and his fertility rate didn't just double, it pretty much peaked higher than what it was before he started the sauna.
Wow.
So if you're out there and you like saunas and you don't want to ruin your fertility rate, put some ice cubes under your balls and you'll be fine.
I wonder if just icing your balls without the
Yeah,
sauna
I
give
think
the
it,
same effect or not.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it's just like the way that your body reacts to being in that temperature. I'm not sure, but I think he did try that. And I think it still did increase anyway. But I think it was more of a factor of if you enjoy saunas and you like saunas,
Yeah.
this is a way that you can not completely ruin your fertility. But yeah, that
I
was
had
just something really interesting that I thought you'd enjoy.
I like that. No, that is good. I'll get on that today. I had a client earlier this year, Dan Duke, who got on stage, and there was one point where he was absolutely fucked, and like again, scaps and back were kind of playing up, and I was like, yeah, go and get some manual therapy. And he
Mm-hmm.
kind of rumbled, and I was like, what's up? And he's like, I hate it. I hate being touched. Like, I don't want manual therapy at all. Um, and I was like, just like give it a go, just a short one. Luckily, we were quite far out from Pep, and it made it 10 times worse.
Mm,
Then I remember I was like, okay, well then what do you like? And he was like, saunas. Gave the saunas a go. It loosened up, and
mm,
like it literally is like if you ask, say, someone who does who specializes in injuries, or like you ask a physio or an osteo, not Camille because he's trained well, but if you talk to a lot of physios or osteos or even a PT, you'd be like, which one is going to ease it off more? They'd be like the manual therapy. It's like, yeah, in theory, but if he hates it and he then starts to like squeeze up and
mm,
resent it and like fight it and basically like use not only his scap but the muscles around it to tense and prevent that like
the
free
release.
blood and that
Mm,
yeah that easing there, then it's going to be worse. And so again, it comes down to what do you enjoy, and it's like a similar thing with training. It's like managing training is just creating stimulus to drive adaptation, and the
mm,
more that you can do that in a more efficient way while finding an efficient way of enjoying it, the better your progress is going to be. As long as you're
mm,
ticking the boxes, there's a big wide kind of road that you can be on, and you can be over here, over here, over here, over here. And like, as long as you're on that road, you're pretty much as ideal as you can be. And I think people think of training as this tightrope where it's like you can't move a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. Like tracking volume landmarks is quite popular, and I'm a fan of it. And someone will be like, "Oh, Jack, what's how many sets do you do for side delts?" I'll be like 10 to 12. They'll be like, "Which is it?" 10 to 12. And it's like,
it's
well,
personal.
which do you respond best to? 10, 11, and 12 all give me the same response.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't detect a difference. Less than 10, yeah, probably not growing as much as I could. Above 12, yeah, probably a little bit too much. Depends how far you skew from that range. But it's not like it's exactly 10 sets. It's not exactly 11. It's a range.
Yeah, I can't remember who was telling me about it, but it's one of those things that it's Tom. Um, Basically what it is when you're starting out, typically you'll end up having more volume because your mind muscle connection isn't the best. So you therefore need more sets to get that same activation that you would as someone who is more advanced. And as you get more advanced and you get your intensity increases, your mind muscle connection increases, then all of a sudden you probably find that you're doing two sets per exercise. And
Yeah.
that's because your first set is top notch and your second set is top notch. Whereas other times it's your first set is okay, but you need some sort of a warm up, and then you get to your top set, and then that's better, and then your back off set is your best set. And it's kind of understand. Like I put on my story today, I was doing underhand high to low rows, and
Nice.
I overloaded it a little bit, and I just grip and ripped. And the reason I can grip and rip, and the reason why I wouldn't say to other people, yeah, do that, is because I can connect to my muscles so well to the point that even though I'm gripping and ripping, I know exactly, like, especially my lats, I can connect to my lats so
They are
well. Like,
huge.
stop.
They are for real.
But I can connect to them so well, and that's probably the reason why they have grown as much as they can. Like my chest, I lack on because I just struggle sometimes to connect with it. As a result, they're not as big as I want them to be. But my lats, I don't have a problem there. But I can grip and rip and literally pinpoint. All right, I can literally pinpoint where I want the contraction to be, and as a result, it causes growth. So it's very interesting because, like you said, I mean, if I was in that position, it's like, yeah, 10 to 12 sets, there's no difference. I would probably be more inclined to be like, cool, go to 10.
Yeah,
And
of
if 10
course.
then doesn't really work, then sure, then we can look at 11. But over the bigger course of things, I don't want to be overloading you with fatigue. And if you're
Yeah.
getting the same response from 10 and 12, then we're going to go to 10 every single time, because 12 is going to cause you unnecessary fatigue. Can you stop like making noise? 10 is going to 10 is going to give you the fatigue, is going to keep you from being overly fatigued, and then 12 is going to overload you, and as a result you might see detriment in different parts of your physique. So it's just understanding the different, and everyone's different, and that's
Yeah.
great. Like I probably find that a lot of the time I might do like 8 sets of an exercise, or maybe even a slight bit more, but for the most part I don't really have a lot of volume, and my volume has dropped down an awful lot, especially since prep. And that's just because I connect to my muscles so much easier, and I don't need more. Like my legs have doubled, and I'm probably doing half the volume that I was doing.
Yeah. And to people listening, that doesn't mean to do less. It means to understand your body.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there's so much. It's funny, it flip flops. Again, I'm an unk, so I see it flip flop, but it will continue to flip flop. It's like it goes high volume, low volume, high volume, low volume. And across my clients, I couldn't point you to I couldn't say I'm a high or a low volume coach. I tend to err on the side of like you said there, if we can do less, we'll do less. Because what is the point of doing more if it's going to give you the same?
Mm-hmm.
But I've got clients where it's like, okay, this is what's needed. I've got and that means maybe not a lot of sets, or maybe quite a lot of sets. And like you said, they're particularly of beginners. Often you notice their strength deficit is so big that it's like, if you even trained with them in person and you like gun to their head will like go to failure, and you rest them for 2 minutes, you find that because they've now started to tap into that tissue, if you say gun to their head again, they actually do better, because their brain has realized, oh, I've got side delts, I'm going to start to use those now. And so, that efficiency of which you were able to produce force was lower, and now it's increased because you've just used them, so now they're stronger. And like you said, it does just take practice to get there. And you can tell when, like, using side delts as an example, I remember when I first trained, I was like, this just feels hard. And now it's like I do one set and I'm like, fucking hell, I'm walking around with like a delt pump. It feels like I've got COVID or something. It's like,
Yeah.
And so, you know that that's more effective. You get to the point where, like, man, I remember being younger doing like probably like 5 sets of side delts like every day. And now it's like, I can't fathom doing that in one session twice a week. I wouldn't recover. I wouldn't be able to beat it. And yeah, but again, that comes down to your volume will lower over time. I think the step that people miss is they jump the gun on it. and you have to get to that point where you're like, okay, I just don't need that, and then adjust.
Yeah. And another thing is there is too much. Don't get me wrong, numbers have their place,
Yeah,
and
I agree already with what
you,
you say.
you need numbers to progress. Cool, understand that, but don't be too fixated on it.
Yeah,
And I'm saying this because like I can do a set. Say for example, I do a set of incline press. Cool. So first set will be my heaviest. So I might do say 55 kilos, and I'll do 10 reps. I will then drop it down to 50, and I'll probably do 10 reps again. And then I'll drop it down to 45, and I'll do 10 reps again, because I don't care about the weight. I don't care about people looking at me and seeing that I'm doing 45 and I look like I can do 65. I don't care, because at the end of the day, I'm in bodybuilding. I'm trying to grow muscle. I'm trying to match stimulus each set. And
yeah,
that's what I'm chasing. I'm chasing numbers, sure, but I'm chasing numbers within a stimulus. And I think
yes,
that's the difference that people don't fully understand. You're you should base numbers off stimulus, not basing off what you're chasing. So
yeah,
if you're doing a set, like say for example, my stiff leg deadlifts, I love them at the moment, and they're just ridiculous. And when I started prep, they literally I went from 160 stiff leg to like 185, 190 in the span of like 3 or 4 weeks. And
ooh,
the reason why I did that was because I knew that every single time I did it, I could up the weight and the set would look the same.
yep,
And now I'm at a point where I'm still I'm at 205, and 205, and I know that my form slightly slipped, so I dropped to 200, got it back up to 205. Now it's the same. So it's understanding that you should base your progression in numbers, cool, because that's how you're gonna judge your rate of gain. But at the same time, you've got to make sure that the stimulus you're getting from those sets are the same every time you're increasing your weight.
yeah. Often say to people, like, especially if they find they get upset when they don't progress something by every week,
Mm,
it's like, remember that a rep is quite arbitrary. So like, you're again, I don't know why we're saying lateral raise. I'm keep talking about lateral raises. Apparently, delts are on the brain, but we'll go for that. It's like
I need
you're
them.
saying that it's because I need more side delt. Uh, you're saying that every week you plan to go from arm by your side to arm directly outwards, and you're going to increase by that much motion. And it's like, if we stood there and we really tested your failure, it might be like 10 and then like 20 degrees of abduction. So 20
Mm,
degrees of lifting your arm up to the side. And then the next time you might get 25 degrees, you might get 30 degrees, you might get 35 degrees. And it's like, you can progress by fractions of a rep, and that's
mm,
still progression. And so the thing is, if you only measure things in whole reps, which is kind of the best way to go about it, I'm not a fan of like tracking half and quarter reps because it's a bit overly anal in my opinion.
mm,
But it's like, okay, you did 10 kilos for 10 and you held that for 4 weeks, but that's still the best you've ever done. And
mm.
so even just holding that peak level of performance has value. You
Yeah.
know, you have to bear in mind that that lateral raise is holding within the context of like all of your pressing progressing. Maybe
Mm,
some front or rear delt isolation work is progressing. Like there's not going to be huge amounts of stimulus, but there's going to be some fatigue present.
mm-hmm.
Um, and again, it might be that like things were slightly tidier, things were slightly better. Whereas if you start to try and launch it to be like, yeah, bro, I lateral raise,
That
100,
raise 35,
yeah, it's
35
like,
dumbbells.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like you get to a point where it's like you're not the whole idea of getting stronger. Like you are like, when I see people do that, I always like want to ask them, or like I have a hypothetical in my head. I go up and I'd be like, hey, why are you tracking your lifts? Oh, so I get bigger. Okay, so then why are you lifting like that? And it's like
Yeah.
you're
They're
losing.
doing lateral raises with 35 and they're not getting past the hip.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, they're bending their arm and shortening it, and it's like suddenly it's a whole body
It's a
movement they're going
shrug.
into. Yeah, and it's like another thing I often say to people is, say, we'll stick on the lateral raise example. Just because you have a dumbbell and you're like raising it to the side of you doesn't mean it's the same exercise when you do this as like when you stay perfectly upright and do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, exercises are they're all just really made up. So they're only as consistent as your form is. It's not like I'm raising a dumbbell laterally is the same universally, because it's not. There's many ways I could do it. If you
Different
said to me,
planes of
Jack,
motion.
yeah, if you said, Jack, you have to raise a 30 kg dumbbell laterally, or I'll kill your family, I'm not going to do it strict. But I could maybe bullshit something. That might be pushing it with 30. It probably would be. But like, I could sort of
I want to
roughly
see this.
I could roughly get it to my side, like to some motion. I can do something with it, hopefully. But if you said grow off a 30 kg dumbbell lateral raise, it's like I probably could, because the consistency and the form that would have would just be so inefficient. It would be shit. I think people get hung up on here's what I'm doing rather than here's why I'm doing it. You know, like why you're doing it is to grow. And so we want to progress those lifts over time. And people just hear progress lifts over time and they chase that. And it's like you're forgetting the original purpose of what we're doing.
Yeah. As we know, there's a huge spike in popularity of peptides at the moment. I'm interested to know what's your opinions on them. Obviously, I've just said peptides as a whole, like there's a massive range of them, but obviously we know like the main ones, whatever.
Yeah, I got asked this question by my barber actually, so I feel a bit more prepared for it.
Good.
So the way that I see peptides is the way that I see any drug from like steroids to heroin. I see every drug as the same. If you are a fully rational person who comprehends what you are doing to yourself and you consent, I have no issue. I have no issue with, this is my personal like philosophy. If you take a hypothetical person who understands what heroin does to them and what it will do to them, and they still choose to take it, I have absolutely no issue with that. Now, you could make the argument that that doesn't exist because no rational person would decide to do that, but that's besides the point. The thing about peptides is they are massively unresearched. And so you have to be aware and you have to be okay with that. And I think it's dangerous. And I think people are ignorant. And I think people are impatient. And I think the biggest reason that people take them is ignorance and impatience. I don't think that's why everyone takes them, but I think that's a big reason why a lot of people do. And the way that like I always describe to clients is like, here's what could happen. Assume it does happen. Do you consent? And if the answer is yes, then do it. I have a little bit of a hot take, which is I've not expressed before. So this is a podcast exclusive, and a lot of people might not like me for this.
Love this. Hit me, so, full force.
It's maybe a touch political. Who knows? I don't know. But
don't care.
When the COVID vaccine came out, a lot of bodybuilders were saying, hey, this is, there's minimal research. It's rushed out there. We don't know the effect that it has on steroid users. I don't trust it. I'm not taking it. Which I disagree with. And I was like, okay, fair enough. Like you talk to a lot of people who take PEDs. Typically it's like, particularly because of Joe Jeffrey and the Physique Collective, it's like we take the substances that have the most research behind them. Okay, like new drug on the block. Ooh, let's steer away from that. Like trenbolone, really harsh, not really well documented. A lot of the ideas we have around it are very anecdotal. Primobolan, really well researched, really refined. Maybe let's lean towards that guy. We know what to expect, and knowing what to expect makes prophylactic measures or health degradation prevention easier. And so I'm like, okay, fair enough. I get that. Like there's something that you don't quite see a lot of research in, so you don't want to take it. And we used to say the same thing. Well, we still say the same thing about SARMs. They're really unresearched. Don't do them. Like we don't know what's going to happen. And typically they're not as good as anabolics. But then peptides came out, and I see the same bodybuilders who had issues with vaccines taking those. And it's entirely, and they don't want to admit it, but it is literally untested substance that claims to be healthy or claims to benefit my health. No thanks. untested substance that makes my biceps bigger? Yes, please. And I think for one, you should tarnish them with the same brush.
Mm.
Uh, if you're going to take a stance publicly on an untested substance or something that you think has insufficient testing time, then don't do that universally, because I don't see why you would treat them as any different.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but that's like, I don't have an issue with peptides. I don't have an issue with people taking them. I think it's hard to fully consent to peptides at the minute because it's hard to know exactly what they bring.
Yeah, I obviously there are more that are researched that aren't researched. Um, I think especially with peptides, the more biased towards health impact instead of and recovery impact instead of muscle growth are probably the ones that you should sway more towards.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously BP 157 and TB 500, everyone knows that they are like the miracle recovery cure. There's been countless athletes who Mitchell Hoskin, is it Hoskin? He's basically this one of the best world's strongest mans in the world. He's Canadian, and before one of the world's strongest mans, I think it was about 5 months out, he tore his hamstring off the bone, and they basically said that it's going to take him 6 months to recover in 6 months time before he could start training in 6 months, and in 6 months time was world's strongest man. He started taking TB 500 and BPC 157. He recovered in 3 months. He trained for 3 months and he won world's strongest man. So obviously he's taken other things with it and all of that. And you can also get BPC 157 as orals. And everyone knows that if you are taking BPC 157 as an oral, make sure you take TB 500 as well. Otherwise, your body will just break down BPC and you won't actually get the effects from it. Obviously, if you're taking it from injection, then there's a little bit, it still breaks it down to a point, and then TB 500 just basically makes it better. But it is a recovery tool and people do use it. And that is one that I'd probably would advertise. Whereas the other side of things, like obviously you have Retta at the moment. Retta is very, very used. And obviously it kind of splits into different fat loss medication as well. You've got Mounjaro, which is a more widely accepted fat loss drug within the lifestyle side, and then Retta is probably more bodybuilding side.
Yeah.
I'd probably sway more towards Retta than I would Mounjaro, only because the people who are taking Mounjaro, sure, they're losing weight and all of that, but they're losing weight without making life changes. And as a result, when they stop taking it, they're getting a lot more side effects, and they're also getting a lot more weight gain on top of that. Like my mum was talking about Mounjaro slide, which is basically like your whole face kind of droops. And
Jesus.
that's like a common, and you take some little drug to stop that from happening. But surely the fact that that's a side effect of taking it is alarming on its own, but clearly not. I don't know. I probably will get a lecture at about the time that I start testosterone, and I'll remind her that she's taking Mounjaro. But anyway, nevertheless, we move on. But yeah, I definitely sway more towards Retta, and the only reason I would, because those who are taking it are already living the lifestyle needed in order for it to be beneficial. You're not seeing the side effects as much, and also it's very, very, very helpful in an off season because it keeps insulin sensitivity peaked. It keeps you at a leaner standpoint, so your likelihood of building pure lean tissue mass is higher. But then again, we have no clue what long-term effects are. Some people react differently to it. Some people get more aggressive. It's like with Tren is very similar to Marmite. You either react really well to it, or you take the tiniest amount and you're literally a killer.
Yeah.
I think it's a very, very dangerous drug. I think a lot of people who are taking it are potentially irresponsible unless they are given the right advice and they're monitoring it really, really well. But from what I've heard, I'm I probably won't take it because there are other drugs out there, Primo, that
Shout out Primo.
shout out Primo, we love Primo. But there are other drugs out there like Primo that will give you very, very similar effects and it won't give you the same side effects. Like I don't really want to be a killer and I think it'll make me very, very aggressive and I don't want that.
Yeah, I think on the whole, peptides show a ton of promise.
Mm,
And again, I don't have any issue of anyone taking anything. I'm more of an issue with potentially people's ideology behind taking stuff,
yeah.
you know, and their reason for it. But I think that, to be honest, I very much like new developments in pharmacology, because it means that assisted bodybuilding gets safer, which is cool. I
Mm-hmm.
think, or like, I like that element. I also do. I also, to some extent, don't fully love it because there's still an element of like I don't want, as much as I'm a hypocrite, I don't want natural bodybuilding to disappear
It won't.
because
It
I
won't.
think
I don't think it ever will. I think if anything, it's going to get bigger than assisted. I think assisted's always going to be the top level, but like obviously now you can do a top level natural Olympia and you can qualify for the actual Olympia. Like
yeah.
it's a questionable thing, but natural bodybuilding is getting bigger and bigger. People are advertising it more. They want it to be more of a thing. Um, yeah, I have mixed opinions on it. I think um, if people really want to stay natural and they're attached to that title, cool. That's great. That's great for you. Not everyone has that. Not everyone has that opinion, and I don't think everyone should have that opinion. I think it's
Yeah.
completely subjective and personal. Like, if you want to stay natural, cool. That doesn't mean you put other people down as well. And I think some people are starting to do that. And I think as much it's one of those that we're running two different races, right? They might clash at different points. Like if you're a natural athlete, you can still compete in a natural competition. That's cool. You might win one. That's great. That doesn't mean you then start like putting people down because you're a natural athlete who's beaten unnatural competitors.
Yeah.
When you look at them and then half the assisted people are really washed out and they're not actually in good condition. But apart from that,
Yeah,
but
boy.
like there's arguments all over the place, and um, I think I personally believe that they should stay somewhat separate.
Yeah.
I feel like as bodybuilding progresses, they're going to become more and more integrated, and I'm not really sure if that's a positive thing, but obviously I know that it means it brings more money into natural bodybuilding, and yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think I like the idea of natural bodybuilding still continuing and existing. I think because there, no matter how much research and refinement goes into assisted bodybuilding, I think there just has to be inherent risks
Mm-hmm.
because of the end goal. I mean, well, there's risks to just being that body. Being in that body is inherently dangerous and more dangerous than like off season and prep is just inherently a dangerous place to be compared to most natural bodybuilders, even in off season. In prep, you could argue, but in off season, you're pretty sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I I like the idea of this sport that I love not killing people. Um, and I think, especially because I've known personally a lot of people who've dabbled in performance enhancers just to then retire and quit. And
Mm,
I think that saddens me because I think most of those people probably would take that back, that decision.
mm.
Um, and so I like the idea of natural bodybuilding existing because in my mind, it's a very,
It's an
um,
entrance.
it's an entrance and it's like you can go all in and then retire and carry very few health consequences long term. And I think it's something that probably most retired natural bodybuilders who decided it wasn't for them, I think they probably regret it less than assisted. And so, yeah, as much as I like the assisted crowd having more and more refinement and things becoming more safe, there's still a little bit of meathead in me, or a little bit of
Ronnie Coleman.
there's a little bit of something in me that thinks like, I hope we don't invent the magic pill that takes away all the work, because we're not there, and we're a long way off there. But I still think the beauty of bodybuilding is in the difficulty, and the more ability we have to remove difficulty without side effect. And again, we're not there, but this is very much forward thinking. I think if that were to ever occur, I think bodybuilding to me would become vastly less appealing. If it was a case of like, you can diet and have full energy and not feel hunger and not crave, and you can be in an off season and have fantastic appetite and energy levels,
and be insulin sensitive all the way up to 250 pounds plus 60 pounds, whatever.
Yeah, and
ridiculous.
It's like, the lethargy and the difficulty of the off season is offset because we can just take a souped up version of GHRP6 and Reta or something, and it's like tricking your body into making a process easier, I think removes some of the appeal and respect that comes with that process. And I don't think we're there yet, and I don't think it will happen in our lifetimes, but I hope it does never happen. Because I, to be honest and frank, I don't want the average person to look like a bodybuilder. I think that's the cool thing.
I like the difference.
Yeah, that's kind of the cool thing, is like, if you or I walk into a Pure Gym, it's clear that we stand out, and it's clear that, like, we're very different from everyone else there, and it shows in our lifts and in our physiques and in the way that we carry ourselves. And obviously then it shows, and that comes from our habits. And I think, like, that takes time to develop. And, I'm very proud of my habits, and like those little voices that tell you not to train or to skip meals still exist for me personally. And I take pride in telling them to fuck off. And I like having to do that. And I don't want that to just disappear, because I think there's a beauty in that self-control and self-mastery, like doing the cardio and the steps when you don't want to, not eating shit when you've had a distressing day or you can't be bothered, choosing to be a bodybuilder constantly. I like that it's a choice rather than like everything in my body. I've optimized my body to make this easy, like I choose to not double my cream of rice because I'm hungry, and I'm going to eat it and embrace being hungry, etc.
Just add more water, make it more voluminous.
To be fair,
that's what I did. I remember in prep, Kyle used to have a go at me because my rice pudding was like 1-3 ratio, and he was like, "No, I want it 1-1. I want no volume." I'm like, "But I'm hungry. Give me more volume. I want 1-3." And he's like, "All of your rice should be 1-1." I'm like, "My rice doesn't cook 1-1. It doesn't cook like that. Like, it just dries out. It's horrible." No, but that morning voice is always for me. I'll wake up in the morning. It's like, "Oh, you could sleep for another hour." And I'm like, "No, I need to get up. I don't want to. I'm cold. I don't want to go out in the pouring rain and go on this 10-minute walk that doesn't massively impact me, but I know it'll make me feel better. I hate it, but I'm going to do it anyway." Yeah, I think there's still the issue behind people viewing assistance as a get out.
Yeah.
And right now it's not. Maybe in future, like you said, it might be, but right now it's not. And it's more of a factor of, if you take an assistance, you almost have to do double what you were doing. Like for example, you train X hard, right? If you and someone else did the same thing, but you're an assistant, cool, you'll recover better. But
Yeah.
because you recover better, you now have to train double as hard the next day, whereas they're still somewhat recovering. So it's the reason why assistance is good is because it's literally a recovery tool that
Yeah.
just allows you to push yourself more than what you can normally. And that's the reason why people grow massive. Obviously, you got the assistance of hormone increase and receptor increase and things like that, sure. But the main reason we grow is because of recovery.
Yeah, what one I've realized being a guest on a podcast made me realize how many repeated speech patterns I have. I'm
That's
quoting
good
myself
though.
a lot, like I have. I guess I hold my own thoughts in really high regard.
You do.
One
You
thing
should.
I always one thing I always say, that I feel like that should be on a mug. One thing I always say
I'm going to
is
buy you that. You're just going to see that in the post one day. Just going to be like, what the hell is this? Who sent me this? Why is it
please
from Charlie?
put your logo on it as well. I'll be like,
I love that. Yeah, sure.
on my
Sure.
podcast, like subtly taking sips. Um, but yeah, like one thing I say to people when they go assisted is I go, congrats, you're now dying for this. Act like it.
I love that.
Like you
That's
are.
great.
And
You've
it's like,
chosen to end your life early. Congratulations.
yep, yep. And it's like, you get messages off of people going through hard phases like mock preps or preps or whatever, and or photo shoots. And it will be like, oh, coach, I feel so run down. Well, okay. And they'll be like, I don't want to lift, I don't want to do it. And I'll be like, how's your progression? They're like, it's still going. And I'll be like, yep, welcome to steroids. You're still progressing and you feel fucked. Go and do it again. Like, you've still got growth there. Sorry. Like, your
It's like
physiology.
you thought it was going to be easier. No, because now you're going to progress even if you don't want to progress. And as a
Yeah.
result, you have to keep progressing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no, there's still, we can still wring that towel a little bit more. There's still a little bit more to give. And your mind's packed in, but your physiology hasn't. So go and tax it. And it's like, same with, if I've got someone on like lipolytics or whatever, fat burners, and they're like, oh, I don't want to do my cardio. I'll be like, you are at elevated risk of a heart attack to get leaner. Go and do your fucking cardio. Like, we are not spending more time on this than we need to. You are not missing a beat. Like, again, the phrase I often use is, you are dying for this, act like it. Like, stop eating shit. You're like, stop drinking alcohol every weekend, stop eating shit, because if you're on any form of PED, your cholesterol's already fucked. Don't make it worse. You will die. Your liver is already stressed. Don't make it worse. You will die. Like, the things that you can kind of get away with when you're natural in terms of like pushing health don't exist. And like, meal plans become more specific. So it won't be like, hey, just have 200 grams or whatever veg you want. It'll be like, you need to have tomatoes in this meal, 36 grams. You need to have mushrooms of 14 grams in this meal. Well, I'm picking silly numbers, but you get what I mean. It'd be like, your fluid goal now has to be hit in off season, because otherwise your blood pressure is going to spike. And again, it's like, we have two choices. Either you die or I pull you off. And I pull you off. Fantastic. That's a good phrase, that is. I pull you off of PEDs and we go into a health phase. And I'm not going to let you die. So if you don't get that fluid in and your blood pressure starts to go through the roof for more than a couple of days, and you can't get your water in line, then that's the end of this cycle. You're going to have to go back to TRT. You're going to have to go back to a health phase, and that's it. Congrats, you've killed it. You've just ruined your growth potential because you couldn't get your water in, or your sleep was fucked. Like, with enhanced bodybuilding, the difference, there should be no difference, right? If you're a good natural bodybuilder, and for you specifically, Charlie, there won't be a difference because you're already dialed. Like, it will just be, okay, I just keep doing what I'm doing, sound. And to other people, they'll be like, what? You put salt on your meals and you weigh it? What the fuck? And like, you do your 10 minutes in the morning, even though you don't want to do it. Oh my God. But like, those things are what you need to have in place. But for people who don't have those in place, that's where assisted bodybuilding is like, they realize I'm much more of an asshole and I need them to do those things, or else they're not going to get what they want. And it's as simple as that.
Something about that really, really attracts me. Just the fact that like you don't have a choice, you have to do it. And
Yeah,
that's kind of it's what I found with this podcast. It's like I had decently poor time management, and the only reason I did was because I could get away with not having good time management. And it's like the world wouldn't end if I didn't do these steps now. The world wouldn't end if I didn't do my cardio right now and I did it later. Or if I ended up going to bed a little bit later, the world doesn't end.
yeah,
Whereas now the podcast is like, okay, so I've got this podcast now. I've got another podcast at 5. I've got a client call at 6. Like I have to train. So this is now. I got to eat so I fuel the training. And I just love that. And as a
yeah,
result, I'm so much more dialed in terms of time management because I'm having to do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, man. That's the best way to be. Um, but yeah, I think like with with assisted bodybuilding, the bodybuilding remains the same, but the health management is what
Mm-hmm.
really kind of is the difficult thing. But yeah, I think to be fair, being assisted did drastically like, or before I knew I was going to go enhanced like a year or so before I did, and that kind of year leading up was where everything started to kind of connect in my head. Um, and like I still like so my background is I used to eat a lot of shit food, like a lot, and I still have those cravings. That doesn't go away, right? Domino's and McDonald's live in my head rent free because they're designed to. Like they're congrats Domino's and McDonald's, you've got me. You know, you're in my head rent free. But when it was like that year of leading up to going assisted, I started to see them as like, oh, that could genuinely just kill me if I have too much of it. Like my
Mm.
HDL could drop, my LDL could increase, I could cause plaque buildup in my heart. I'm already going to be using assistance, so my heart is going to grow. My heart is going to get less efficient. And if my arteries clog and my heart is less efficient, I will have a heart attack. And one day I will
Mm.
not be here and I will just cease to exist. And my family will have lost a member, my friends will have lost someone, my partner will have lost someone. Partner makes it sound like a gay. It's my girlfriend. All of my
My
clients
man.
will have lost their coach. And it's like suddenly in that year lead up, that's when I started to really, like you said, there is no option. It's like you can take steroids or you can have dominoes, and you can't do both because either one, like taking steroids will kill you. If you and anyone listening to this, if you take gear, that is the reason you die. Whether you die at 40 or at 60 or at 70 is your choice, but they will be the reason that you die, and that is just a categoric fact. Unless you get hit by a bus, in which case that's peak. But if you layer risks on top of that, like you take recreational drugs, you drink, you eat shit food, you are accelerating that. And it is trackable. You can see it in your bloods. Like your margin for error is so much lower. Your body does not bounce back because it is constantly stressed. I'm sat here right now and my organs are stressed. And how stressed they are is down to me. I can minimize it as much as possible. But, if I layer in enough shit food, then it can be too much. And it might take a lot or it might take not a lot. And, that's kind of the dice that we roll. So make sure that you don't roll the dice ever. Because as soon as you start rolling those dice, there's a chance you lose. I guess that analogy holds up. Who knows?
Jack Archer, everyone. Thank you very much. I've loved this. I genuinely have really loved this. I didn't want to end this because I'm really enjoying this conversation, but I really appreciate you. I love what you're doing and the work that you're doing. What can people expect from you in the next weeks, months, years?
Oh my God, what can people expect from me in the next weeks, months, years? They can expect lots of discounts on their Conti Sports supplements. I'm
Code?
wearing a t-shirt. Let's go. They gave me
What's
this
the code?
t-shirt. Nice. Archer 10 at checkout.
Yeah.
In the next weeks, months, years, they can expect a prep that they won't know about until it's happened.
Good.
They can expect many clients on stage this year. And they can expect a female coach to join, ideally an assisted female coach, because there just isn't enough female coaches in industry, in my opinion. And if you are a woman talking about menstrual cycle issues, I can grasp the theory, but I've never experienced it and I never will. Great for me, sucks for you. You know, and yeah, just kind of working with more people, getting my name out there. I don't think I'll ever be a top bodybuilder, but they can expect me to be the best bodybuilder I can.
I love that. That's great.
I will carry all of the actions of a bodybuilder. My physique will do what it wants to do, and that's fine. I will be overshadowed by Camille as a bodybuilder, but that's more than fine.
That's fine.
And yeah, I will probably in the next like 12 years or so retire from bodybuilding and then just coach. And I do not look forward to that, but I have to be realistic. At probably like 35, unless I'm on the cusp of something, I'm out. But yeah, that's me, I guess.
Sick. And where can people find you?
Jack_Archery Academy on Instagram. If you want to see our results, look at the_Archery Academy on Instagram. Drop me a follow, Camille and Matty. We've got our own podcast. It's got a great name. It's called Growers Not Showers, which once we've all prepped is going to be an inaccurate name because we'll be growers and showers. I think that's pretty much everything I think I've got to promote off the top of my head.
I love it. I love it. Again, thank you. I really appreciate you. And hopefully we'll hear from you again. We'll do this again soon.
Mate, thank you so much. And yeah, thank you to everyone listening. And I wish you the best of luck with your journey, Charlie, mate.
Thank you.